Again, starting with number 4 says the function's f, and so you have the function f of x equals negative 5x minus 1, and the function g of x equals 2x to the third plus 2. Find f of 4 and g of negative 2. So I'm just going to kind of write down the work without too much extra. So if I'm going to find f of 4, that means I have to use the function f. And when you do, I guess I could write that down actually. F of x equals negative 5x minus 1. So now that you're finding f of 4, that means you plug in a 4 anywhere you see an x, and negative 5 times 4 is negative 20. Negative 20 minus 1 is negative 21. So that's it. That's all you have to do on these. You have to recognize function notation is simply a way to write an equation, and if you're going to plug a number in to a function in function notation, you have to plug it in anywhere that the letter shows up. And like on the left side, all you do is say f of 4 equals, but then on the right side is where you actually make your calculation. So again, finding f of 4 means I'm putting a 4 in anywhere I see an x, as I did, and then actually finding f of 4 means calculating, but that happens on the right. So negative 5 times 4, negative 20, and then negative 20 minus 1 tells me that f of 4 equals negative 21. And then I'm also supposed to find, well, let me write the function down real quick. G of x equals 2x to the third plus 2. Right, writing it down will help my understanding, or your understanding in this case. Find g of negative 2. So finding g of negative 2 means, first of all, it means plug in a negative 2 anywhere you see an x. So plug in a negative 2. And then negative 2 to the third power means negative 2 times negative 2 times negative 2. And don't forget that, plus 2. So again, plugging in a negative 2 looks like this line here. And then the first thing you should be doing is the exponent. So negative 2 to the third power is negative 2 times negative 2 times negative 2. And what you'll find with negative 2 times negative 2 times negative 2 is negative 2 times negative 2 is positive 4. And then positive 4 times negative 2 is negative 8. Okay, so again, negative 2 times negative 2 is 4. Times negative 2 again is negative 8. And now we're going to multiply 2 times negative 8 to get negative 16. And then a negative 16 plus 2 is, that's subtraction, because one is negative, one value is negative, one value is positive. So when you combine those terms, combine those like terms, you technically subtract, even though it stays negative, you know, technically 16 minus 2 is 14, so, but it stays negative because negative 16 is larger. So hopefully that is something that is refreshing your memory on how to use these skills. I'm going to go ahead and plug ahead, but back to number 1. Okay, you stop me if you have any other questions, guys. Like I said, I'm going to keep just kind of plugging away here, so you got to stop me if you have a question. If I were you, I'd be just kind of working through it. Don't forget, once you get to page what is it, page 6, I believe? Pages 6, 7, and 8, I believe, are the answers are. Either way, at the end you have your answers. And you can see here in number 4, f of 4 is negative 21, and g of negative 2 is negative 14. So you can definitely check on these as needed. Back to number 1. Stop me if you have a question, remember that. 20 equals negative 8u plus 6 times u plus 4. There's really only one thing this can ask you to do, and it is going to be to solve that equation. Of course, solve for u. Oh, okay, Julia, I'm seeing that. Sounds good. We're kind of a borderline early to where, you know what, I'll get back to you on that. I need to check in on how many minutes you can go where you don't have to contact the office, so I'll have to follow up on that one. Anyhow, thanks for letting me know. So, or actually, if it's a game, you shouldn't have to. If it's school-related, you should be good. So, let me also remind you guys, LDCMAN, okay? And this is what I use for my steps for solving an equation, right? L stands for that I would probably normally like to draw a line down from the equal sign if it helps me to differentiate the left and right side. D for distribute. So, I do have some distributing over here that I already started to indicate. 6 times U is 6U, and 6 times 4 is 24, and 20 equals negative 8U plus 6U plus 24. So my next step is C, combine like terms. There are some like terms here on the right. Negative 8 plus 6 is negative 2. Bring down that 24. Alright, we already combined negative 8 plus 6. That's where the negative 2 comes from. Bring down the 24. Next step is M for move the variables to the same side, but there's only variables on one side here, so I don't have to do this step. I'm off to this A here. This A stands for add or subtract. In this case, the add or subtract is the plus 24 should be moved to the other side by subtracting, so minus 24. 20 minus 24 is negative 4, and negative 4 equals negative 2U, and we're going to go ahead and this 24 here zeroes out, so we're just going to cross it out. And then my last step here is this one. This M stands for multiply or divide. We just put an M, but multiply or divide. In this case, we're going to divide by negative 2, because right now it's negative 2 times U. So in order to get rid of the negative 2 and get U by itself, get U isolated, we're dividing. So divide to get rid of it. Here a negative number divided by a negative number is a positive number. So that's it. U equals 2. And yeah, just do your best to follow those steps in solving an equation. Line, distribute, combine like terms, move variables to the same side, add, subtract, multiply, divide. And remember the other acronym we use to, oh shoot, my bad. Remember the other acronym, thanks Julianne. The other acronym we used to remember this was look, don't call me after midnight. So the acronym we used to remember it is look, don't call me after midnight. And then what it actually means is line down from the equal sign, so you can separate the right and left side real easily, real obvious. Distribute, look on the right, then look on the left. Combine like terms, look on the right, then look on the left for that one. Then move the variables. Once you get to the M, you're doing the opposite. Move variables by doing the opposite. Add or subtract, do the opposite. Multiply or divide, do the opposite of what's already happening. So that's number 1, guys. You let me know. You let me know if you want me to go to a different problem, or if you just have like kind of a specific question about a problem. You let me know, and then I will post this. I will post these answers and whatnot after, sometime later today. Number 2. Notice on number 2 says table of values of a linear function is shown below. So it's right off the bat, it's telling me it's linear. So number 2, I don't have to decide whether it's linear or exponential or something else. So let me also adjust again here. I'm going to go ahead and copy this table down here. And give me 1 sec, you guys. Out of here. Okay.
He slept all morning. He only woke up to eat.
Okay.
He's laying down. but he has not been wanting to for me this morning.
Okay.
But Dad said he did everything.
Okay.
So yeah.
Sounds good. I'm almost done here. So
Okay. Also, Monica said she believes she ordered Polly's prescription. She just has to go pick it up.
Or both?
The little ones.
Okay.
So I'm not.
Wait, I ordered those.
She said somebody ordered them.
I did.
So just double checking. So.
Yeah. Is he out?
No. He has 2 days. Tomorrow and the day after.
All right. I'm gonna leave myself a note for that.
Okay.
I appreciate it.
Okay. See you tomorrow.
Yeah. Thanks. All right, guys. Sorry about that. Just needed to chat real quick with one of my a caregiver for my adult son. Anyhow, let me keep plugging along here. So I was just gonna copy that table down here. -1, 0, 1, 2, 3, and then -1, -4, -7, -10, and -13. This table didn't quite stay as neat as I would have liked it to. Either way, just gonna kind of use it. One thing that, as you know, depending on how much you remember, right off the bat, it tells me that this is a linear function. It says a table of values of a linear function is shown below, right here. It has the words of this linear function. Guys, the fact that it says linear function tells me this. It tells me that the equation is going to be y equals mx plus b. Again, if it's a linear function, then for sure I can use that format. That format for the equation, and also some things about m and b I can tell you that you may already know. Remember, m tells you how to move. It's aka the slope. It's aka the rate of change. And so there's quite a few, as you can see, words or phrases here that are associated with these main components of a linear function. Alright, so one of the things, right, m is aka your slope, which is aka the rate of change, which is aka the amount by which the y values are changing, right? Amount by which y, right, technically consecutive y values. If you look at the x's, though, let me go a side note here. If you look at the x values, they go -1, 0, 1, 2, 3. They are in order. They are consecutive. If the inputs or x values are consecutive, that means these y outputs are consecutive outputs. So amount by which y changes, right? And that can either be a positive or negative amount, okay? That's what, so we're looking here. We're looking to see for the m, or the slope, or the rate of change, we're looking to see by how much this is changing. B is where you begin, technically, which is it's your initial value, which is aka your y-intercept. Okay, initial value. And another way to know what it is, it's the output. Let me see. It's the output, aka the y value, where the input equals 0, where the input equals 0. Okay, so there's quite a few different thoughts, words, or phrases you can associate with the slope. Same thing with the y-intercept. And so you're looking here, right? You're looking where the input is 0, what's the output? And you're also looking here to see by how much the y's are changing by. So does anybody want to chime in on what is, well, remember m is your slope, b is your y-intercept or initial value, Anybody know what the slope is or the y-intercept is? You could just say it, or you could type it into the chat, right? You could say b equals m equals. And once you know what those are, well, you just plug in m and plug in b into this equation, through the equation, right? So one more time. Can you tell by how much the y values are changing? And can you just find where x is 0? And look at what the output is. That's your y-intercept, or your initial value. Alrighty then, I see here, Alyssa, -4 is the y-intercept. Yes, good job. Thanks for that check-in, that chime-in. Guys, find where the input is 0 and the output -4 is your y-intercept. That's one of my blanks to fill in. Okay, so what about the slope? Anybody good with that? Anybody willing to chime in with the slope? The slope is here, right? The slope is here with these arrows, right? How much is this changing by when it goes from -1 to -4, then to -7? I can tell you there is a constant rate of change here. It is moving by the same amount, or changing by the same amount every time. It's just, do you know what it is? You could technically also just on a calculator subtract in reverse order, but that gets a little tedious too, because you'll have to type in -13 minus -10 and -10 minus -7. And Alyssa, thanks for checking in there, guys. That is the correct response. It is -3. So we have your slope, we have your y-intercept. There's one more blank we need to fill in, but it's technically like one of the easiest ones once you have the first two, of course, because once you have those first two blanks, well, you could just fill in m and b, and you're done. Anybody want to type that in? Well, look, Alyssa chimed in, and maybe some of you all might have already had it, but either way, if your m, your slope is -3, that goes here where m is. And if your b, your y-intercept is -4, that goes right here where b is. So, yep, good. Don't forget to say y equals, but yes, y equals -3x minus 4. By the way, all this stuff that I know, or that you also might know, or, hopefully you will do your best to know it. All that stuff, or all this stuff, right? Normally I just have it as knowledge. Normally I'm not going to write all this down. So what I'm saying is, normally if you're giving me a table, I can figure these answers out quick, like literally like 30 seconds or less probably, and I could get all that stuff. It's a problem you can do relatively quickly, but if I just breeze through all these problems and don't explain, then it's literally not helpful to anybody. So at least if you know it, you can kind of breeze through. And if you don't know it, I'm hoping that by trying my best to explain things that it'll kind of work out for you. So anyhow, I'm going to go to the next page, guys. So number 3, I'm kind of out of space here, so I'm going to go to number 3. Remember, we already did number 4. So off number 3. Number 3 is, well, it's still linear. Notice how it says graph the line. That's definitely still a linear equation. You can also see it's in the format y equals mx plus b still. So So, number 3, y equals negative 2x minus 5. And remember, it's in the form y equals mx plus b, where b tells you where to begin, right? Begin, and m tells you how to move. Whoops, sorry, I'm getting sloppy here. M tells you how to move, and all you gotta do is look at the number that's in the place of b. Where do we begin? And look at the number that's in the place of m. How do we move? Any chimers? Anybody want to chime in on that? And b equals blank, right? And m equals blank. Go ahead and draw a coordinate plane here. Alright, so this is the most efficient way that I can graph a line. I can begin and move. Okay? I can begin and move, and if the equation is in the form y equals mx plus b, as this one is, it is a pretty straightforward identification process. Remember, b is this number, right? And m is this number, so I'm going to have to push us along a little bit. Does anybody know what to do if you begin at negative 5? Does anybody know what to do with that? Begin at negative 5. Where do I go to get to negative 5? Which direction do I move in from the origin? Of course, you always start at the origin, and since b is negative 5, how do I move with, or where do I go first with the negative 5? Up or down? At least that should clarify for you now. Do I go up or down? If it's a negative 5 here, do I go up or do I go down? Alrighty, thanks for chiming in, Miss Julianne. So hopefully that's logical to you guys, that since it's negative 5, we're going to go down 5. I don't have graph paper here, so I'm just kind of trying to space it out as evenly as possible, so go down 5. Now, m, right? Notice how m is negative 2, but if m's not a fraction, make it a fraction by putting it over 1. Okay, again, m is negative 2, and negative 2 is not a fraction, so make it a fraction by putting it over 1. And then you might recall from your slope that you go to your beginning point and you go either up and right or down and right. Do you guys think this one's up and right, up to right 1, or down to right 1? Negative 2 over 1. Do you think it's up to right 1 or down to right 1? Okay, well, I'm going to tell you it's for sure right. For sure it's 1 right. But it's negative 2 over 1. So is it up and right or down and right? Good. Thanks for that chime in there, Miss Julianne. So it's down and right, guys, but you have to... Really, Blue? Blue! What's wrong with you? Alrighty, well, if that didn't scare you, then maybe you're sleeping. Maybe it woke you up. Wow, that was really annoying. It really bugs when he out of nowhere goes crazy. Okay, sorry about him. I put him outside, but I think he's still audible to you. Sorry about him. Anyhow, I'm going to keep plugging away here, my friends. So here's what you do. As Julian chimed in, yes, you are correct. Nice, thanks for that chime in. From the -5, from the beginning point, you move down to right 1. So down to right 1. So again, from the beginning point, down to right 1, leaves me here. And that's all I really need to draw my line, just these 2 points, and I can... Hey guys, so sorry about that. Someone was at my door and I had to deal with them. I'm going to skip here to number 5, which tells me that the table of ordered pairs gives an, look at this right here, an exponential function. Let me copy this table down real quick. -1, 0, 1, 2, and 4, 8, 16, 32. Sorry, I'm just copying down right now, you guys, but we can do this, and you guys can actually chime in also. It's not... See, you can do this literally in like 10 seconds. Thing is, if I'm trying to explain it, it can take longer than 10 seconds, So let me advise you that this is, see how I highlighted exponential? I don't know if you're looking at my both screens, but it says exponential function. So as soon as it tells me it's exponential, I know this. I know it's y equals a times b to the x power. And remember, in this context, maybe we could just finish this one here. If we go over a little bit, that's fine. If you can stay, awesome. If you can't, I understand. But I think we're out of here at 57. Yeah, so if you can stay, awesome. If you can't, understood. So remember, since it says, no worries, Angela, you also, no worries, you guys can't stay. But if you can, I'm going to go ahead and wrap this up, and then maybe you could chime in if you are going to stay. Cynthia, sounds good. You guys all have a good one if you can't stay, but I just did that right before you said that, miss. So we're good. Thank you for checking on it, though. Thank you for constantly paying attention. All of you. Either way. So once it tells me it's exponential, you guys, I know the format for that equation. It's y equals a times b to the x power, where a is the initial value, which is still where x equals 0, it's y. And then b is the rate of change, which I'm actually going to give you one more word for this. It's the multiplier. B is the multiplier for the outputs. So you'll find b by recognizing what are they multiplying by here to go from 4 to 8, and then from 8 to 16, and 16 to 32. What are they multiplying by? So you can... maybe, I don't know if anyone already knows that, but basically a, if you see where x equals 0, hey, what's the output? That's a. And if you know what they're multiplying by, that's b. So I don't know if any of you still here want to chime in on that, but I'll wait a few seconds, see if you do, and then kind of go from there. And I know we're past, you know what guys, since we're past our time, I'm going to move forward with this, and you can let me know if you have any questions. So a is your initial value. You will find that where x is 0, it's the output. So a is 8. Again, where the input is 0, the output is the initial value. Again, where x is 0, the y is the initial value. And then, did anybody get what they're multiplying by? If you did, hopefully you got this. Hopefully you got 2. 4 times 2 is 8, and 8 times 2 is 16, and 16 times 2 is 32. So, so there's that. And then we can write the equation. Now, if we know what a and b are, we can write the equation. Y equals a times b to the x power. There it is, my friends. But since we're past our time, I'm going to let this be. You guys are more than welcome to get through this on your own, and then kind of just the answers are there, right? The answers are at the end, so you're more than welcome to go over it today and check the answers, and I'll if that doesn't happen, I'm still gonna finish going over it with you tomorrow. So